Hi, I'm Frank Bassesi. I'm here at Cosmic Golf in Elizabethtown, Kentucky at the GOAT putting course. It's one of my favorite courses and one of the best putting courses I've ever played, and I'm going to teach you how to play it. All right, here we are, hole number one. It's very important for you to get off to a good start. The ball slopes to the right as it's going down the fairway and then back to the left once it reaches past that bunker, and then the hole just continuously breaks to the left. In the green complex, there's a little tiny shelf in front of the cup. Want to make sure you hit the ball firm enough to touch the back rough, and that is the proper speed and how to play hole number one. The important thing about hole number one is to keep your speed up. If you're too slow and too far right, the ball can catch the rough on the right and end up in the bunker or even out on the sidewalk. You start from the left dot, you're aiming down the left side of the right rough, and just make sure you keep your speed up on this putt. And if you make it, generally, if the ball goes in, it'll slam into the pin, but it bounces off the rough like that, and then it just generally ends up in that area with a successful putt. All right, number two, another critical hole to start out with, 3 pars on holes 1, 2, and 3. This hole breaks continuously from right to left. There's a big mound here on the right side of the fairway. You want to aim towards this bunker or towards that wall, and the ball will start to slope in the general direction of the cup. If you look closely, there's 2 little ridges past the bunker that you want to navigate those, and you want to be tracking towards the left side of the cup and then get it up on top of the second tier, and that's where the hole sits here on hole number 2. Okay, start from the left side of the tee, aiming at the right edge of that bunker or the middle of that wall that I described in the walkthrough, and just make sure you keep your speed up. Hit the ball down there, get it sloping. It's going to roll through the bunker. It's going to go up the slope. Now it's a little bit soft. You can see it does 2 little tiers there that guard the front of the hole. But that's the gist of how you play hole number 2. Ever critical, hole number 3. The hole sits on a diamond-shaped tier. As you start, the ball's going to slope immediately to the left and the mound on the right. And as it comes back down through the middle here, it's going to actually start to track back to the right. If you look closely, you can see the shadows there. It's a diamond-shaped tier. You want to get your speed just right and keep it on top of that tier. Too fast, it'll end up in the back. Too short, and it'll end up short right of the cup. Get your speed right and get your line right, and hole 3 isn't too much of a problem. So players are often split on how to play this hole. If you want to try to go for it, you need to start from the right side, and you're basically aiming at the cup. You want to be a little bit more aggressive with the speed, which is going to bring behind the cup into play. Let's get the ball started towards the cup here, and it's going to kind of slope back towards. If you get the speed just right, you can keep it on top of the shelf just like that. Any harder, it would have trundled down past the green. Other players to play to the right side and play more of a layup shot. You start from the left side of the tee. You're basically aiming at the edge of the rough on the right. And you're also just trying to get your speed right. Push it down there, get the ball kind of sloping the other direction, and you can also get the ball up on top of the shelf, and those are 2 excellent putts here on hole number 3, and it makes it more manageable. Okay, now we go into the scoring stretch of holes 4 through 9. First up, hole 4. As you tee off, the ball's going to slope immediately to the left. It's going to just miss that bunker, and then it's going to straighten out and actually track back to the right. And the cup sits just on the top of this little kind of triangular shaped shelf. Get your speed and your line right, and you have a very, very good chance of making hole number 4. I generally start on the right dot. I'm aiming at about this position in the bunker out here. There's a flag in the background on hole number 5 that you can kind of aim at. And just match your line with your speed. You have a really good chance of making this. Oh, right lip out. But that's how you play hole 4. All right, going on to the next scoring hole, number 5. This hole just breaks continuously from right to left. Tee off anywhere on the tee. You're going to pick a spot out there in the wall where those trees are as kind of your aiming point on where you want the ball to apex. The ball comes off the slope here at about 30, 40 degree angle, and the cup just sits right back in this area. Not too much to hole 5, just make sure you hit it hard enough to get to the cup. As I said, you can start anywhere on the tee, just match your line with your speed and pick out a spot on the wall that kind of matches up with the line you want to pick. So for me, I start a little bit farther right than center. And I got a little tree out in the wall that I'm hoping to aim at, and just got to get the speed right. Boom, that's how you can make hole number 5. Moving on to one of the best holes on the course, hole number 6. Start center tee all the way to the right dot, match your line and your speed. You're going to hit the slope on the right. If the ball's going to start tracking to the left, it's either going to go slightly inside the bunker or right along the edge of it, and it's going to go straight up into the cup area. Hole number 6, great chance for an ace. I like to start just barely right of center. I'm just trying to hit the middle-ish of this slope, get the ball tracking. My ball's either going to track just slightly through the bunker or right on the edge of it, and it lines up with the cup. Just another one, just match your line with your speed. You have a really good chance of making it. So I put that one a little bit too far left. That wasn't a very good example. I hit one more. So you want to make sure you aim just not far enough to the right. But the ball lines up with the cup. Unfortunately, I didn't make those, but you really have a really good chance to make hole 6. You definitely don't want to leave it short. All right, number 7 is another decent scoring chance. There's 2 ways to play it. As you come down the fairway, on the left side of the fairway, it slopes to the left. On the right side, the left side of the fairway slopes to the right. The right side of the fairway slopes to the left. You can pick your shot here. You can either get the ball rolling in between these 2 bunkers and going to the cup on that angle, or you can play the right side and roll through the bunker that's in front of the cup. The bunkers and the seam work here is incredible. It's impeccably smooth. You can kind of pick your shot here. One thing you want to avoid is that back right bunker behind the cup. Hole 7 is not too bad. All right, you can play 2 different shots. They both start in a very similar position on the right side near the right dot. Try to show you the shot that some players play where you roll through between the 2 bunkers. You're going to roll it, the ball like this. It's going to start to slope in between the 2 bunkers. But that one brings that back right bunker into play if you don't hit a great shot. Another way you can play it is from the right side. You can aim at the manhole or the drain cover there outside the rough. And you can play it this way as a little bit safer shot if you want to play it this way. A little safer, it rolls through that bunker, and then it can track towards the cup and go in that way. And that's how you play hole number 7. All right, hole number 8. The hole looks more intimidating than it really is. You have 3 mounds that you need to negotiate here. So you start in the middle of the tee to the right of the tee. The first mound here is going to throw the ball to the right. The second mound as we come to is going to throw the ball back to the left, and then there's a little mound in front of the cup, a little shelf that you want to try to get the correct angle. And if you do, you have a decent chance of making hole number 8. I start about center of the tee, and I'm aiming pretty much at the cup for my line. And if you get the speed or weight right, this can really line up with the cup very well. That ball's going to miss a little. You can see this little slope there at the end. It kind of pushes the ball a little bit to the right of the cup. But once you see it in person, like, wow, how am I going to do this? It's not too bad. Just aim at the cup or a little bit left of the cup, and you'll just kind of ride the wave, and it'll eventually line up with the cup at the correct speed. And that's how you play hole number 8. All right, here we are, hole number 9, the last hole on the front 9. This hole breaks from right to left. Come through. You're going to hit the slope here on the right, and the ball's going to start tracking towards the cup that kind of sits just on this little shelf area. And if you get your line and your speed right, you have a pretty good chance of making this hole. This hole in particular is my favorite hole on the course. Okay, you can start anywhere from the middle of the tee all the way to the right. If you start from the middle of the tee, you need to aim a little bit farther right to catch the correct slope and get the angle to the hole. There's a flag over on number 18. If you use that flag, just send the ball up there, get the ball up the slope, and you have a good chance of making it or getting it really close to the hole. Another way to play it is all the way on the right side. You're aiming slightly farther left than that, and just get your speed right, and you have a good chance of making this. Ooh, so close. And that's how you play hole number 9. All right, moving on to the back 9, hole number 10. Once you play it enough times, you'll convince yourself you need to hit it harder than you really think you do. The hole starts out going a little bit downhill, and then you hit this mound on the right and starts to send the ball to the left, and then it straightens out. Once you get right to the beginning of this bunker, there's quite a bit of an uphill here, and then there's another little tiny shelf right in front of the cup. So just make sure you give it enough pace. There is a backstop behind the hole. Don't go into the rough, but if you get past the cup, it will come back slightly. Hole number 10. Pick your tee spot anywhere from the middle of the tee to the right side. I think most people kind of shade towards the right. I'm a little bit right of center myself. I aim at the bunker out there on the right side. Just get your weight right. You can get the ball to line up. It can go in sometimes. Just get your speed right. Just make sure you don't lag it. You got to hit it a little bit harder than you think you do, and you have a decent chance to make it. Now, the second one I'm going to show you is you want to make sure you hit it hard enough, because if you go back farther than that ball and you hit it a little bit faster than that, you have a backstop behind the cup. Let's say you just really hit one hard. You have a kind of a backstop back there where the ball will start to trickle back down towards the cup like that one did. So just don't be afraid to make sure you hit it hard enough on hole number 10. All right, moving on to number 11. It's one that likes to line up a lot, but it's really hard to get it to consistently go in. Got to match your line, and your speed's got to be perfect. The ball's going to go down the slope at first. There's a mound on the left here in front of the water. It's going to repel the ball to the right, and then as it comes down the fairway more, it's actually going to start to work its way back to the left. So you just got to match your line and your speed. You can play it anywhere on the tee mat. Just make sure you get your speed right. If you're a little bit too far right and too fast, it will end up in that back right bunker. This is kind of the general area that people like to tee on, either all the way to the left or all the way to the right. I'm in the left side camp. I like to play about one ball off of the yellow dot and then aim a few inches into the water on the left side and just try to get the speed right. You see the ball will start to work its way back to the left. It's a good shot, good speed. And then this one, you want to aim just a little bit outside the water to similar speed. That one's going to start to work its way back to the left. So I aimed that one a little bit too far to the right. But that's the gist of how to play hole number 11. You pick your line, you pick your speed, and you have a reasonable chance to make it. All right, moving on to hole number 12. This is one that you really want to try to make it. It's about a 15-foot putt. You're going to start from the right dot. You're going to just work the ball, try to work it as close as you can to straight at the cup, maybe favoring left center of it. It's going to work its way through the water here. It's going to miss that little bunker, and then the hole just sits in this area. You definitely do not want to hit it too soft. It's okay if you go in these back right, or if you go in the back bunkers behind the cup. It's not too bad of a par putt from there. Yeah, this is definitely one that you just do not want to leave short. Don't want to be light with it. Just jam it in if you have to. If that helps you just get the ball started on line, that's the most important thing, is getting the ball started on line. Some players start on the dot. Some players start just inside the dot. I like to start just inside the dot. And I think I want to be aiming basically like right at the cup. My eyes are just kind of a few, maybe 2 inches or so inside the bunker right there for me personally, but you'll pick your spot as you come and play this one. You just want to make sure you give it a chance. And you can make hole 12. Moving on to the critical 13th hole. In the beginning of this putt, this is the longest hole in the course. It's going to slope hard to the left. Once we get past the column here, it's going to start to work its way back to the right. The object here is to find the right angle for the ball to approach and go through the water and come up the slope to reach the green that's kind of in another diamond-ish shape. And you're just trying to get your speed right to keep it on top of the shelf. Otherwise, you could end up in the water or down off the shelf off the back, and you have a 6 or 7 foot putt for your par. Control your speed. 13 is not too bad. So I like to play a lower, tighter line where I'm starting from the left dot and I'm aiming just a little bit off the rough here, probably about here-ish. You're going to watch this ball kind of track through here, and it's going to stay really tight to the rough line. I think that's going to give the best angle once it gets up there close to the green to stay on top of the shelf. This is another one, just practice your speed, and it's all about the speed. So that one even slightly touched the rough. But hopefully it's hard enough that it gets down the water and then up the shelf. That's just barely hard enough. All right, so I'm gonna start the video here. So this one just barely made it past what we affectionately call as sloppy or Nate's Creek. If that was just a little bit too soft, it would have rolled back down in there. I'm gonna row back to the tee so you can see the end of the putt. Same position, starting from the left dot. The first one actually clipped ever so slightly part of the rough, and it took a little bit of the speed off of it. So you want to make sure you aim this a little bit farther right. Missed the beginning rough here. A little bit better. If you get it out a little bit too far right, what ends up happening is when the ball comes up the slope, it wants to kind of repel to the right, and it can end up in the creek anyways. So want to be as tight as you can to the rough. And then once you get up on the shelf here, this is where you want to be, anywhere in this area, and you can easily just clean these up. And that's how you play hole 13. All right, moving on to hole 14. This hole here, it seems very innocent, but you're kind of putting over a beach ball, and you want to start the ball to the right of the cup. If you do anything to the left, it will just exaggerate it, and it will end up in the back left corner. So get it over the mound, aim a few inches out to the right side of the cup. It's not an easy ace. It's got to be a very exact line. This one is more line than speed. You can make it, but it's more just bailing out to the right and just making sure you make a safe two. All right, starting position on hole 14 generally is all the way on the right dot or somewhere really close to the right dot. And you're going to be aiming about 6 inches to the right of the cup. You're kind of doing this for a safety play, because if you hit it a little bit too far left, which I'm going to show on the second ball here, so you just run it past the cup, it can bounce off the rough. It's never going to go in, but you're giving it a chance. Now, if you try to go at it, or if you start aiming a little bit too far left, and you're trying to really take it on, right? So the ball's going to hit this slope, and it really wasn't much difference in that. You can see how the ball started tracking to the left, and I got really unlucky and got stuck in the rough. But most of the time, the ball is going to end up down in this area, and the putt's really not too bad. It's just left lip, up the hill, and just make sure you hit it firm enough. It's really not too bad. But obviously, you'd rather be, 1.5 feet versus 4 or 5 feet down here. But that's the gist of how to play hole number 14. All right, moving on to critical 15 and 16. Here's hole 15. Start from the right side of the tee. As you come up the fairway, the slope is going to push the ball to the right, and then there's a mound in the center of the fairway right before you get to the water. If you're on the right side of the mound, it's going to repel it to the right. If you're on more middle to left middle of the mound, it's going to push it towards the cup. And that's exactly where you want to be. Into the water, up the tiny little slope, and the green sits about 2 feet past the water here on the shelf. A little too fast, and the ball will start to travel and trickle down towards the back rough, and you can be up against the rough collar. Speed is of the utmost importance on hole number 15. All right, the tee position here, most people play it on the very, very far right side. I'm a little bit off the dot, maybe about a ball or two. And aiming at the number 17 flag, which lines up about one shoe or more, a little bit, maybe more than one shoe off of this rough line. It's probably somewhere in this area for a visual. And you just got to make sure you get your speed right. If you're a little too fast, it can go back up against the rough collar, and you have a very difficult par putt because you don't have much of a swing. You can't really catch all the ball. A little short, you're going to end up in the water. So I'm going to show you one that is good speed, hopefully, and then one short and one long. So this one I'm trying to hope that I'm hitting it just the right speed so I can just barely get up that slope and be close to the cup. That's an excellent shot. So this next one, I'm going to hit it a little bit harder so it can kind of go up against the rough collar in the back, so you can see what happens if you're really trying to tackle it on, and I really want to go for this. I've made this in the past. It's going to end up back up against that rough collar, and that's actually quite a difficult deuce from there because you don't get all of good contact on the ball. And now this one, I'm going to hit a little bit shorter. So if you're trying to play more of a finesse shot and you underhit it and you don't get it enough of it, it can end up all the way over there in the water. It can also end up in the water on the front left of the hole. All right, hole 16 is an innocent looking hole, but it's quite devilish. If you're a little bit too soft and too far to the left, it will swoop into the water on the left. And if you're a little bit too hard and too far right, you will go into the back right bunker. So you want to try to hit the middle of the slope here in the green, and it will send the ball towards the cup. And there's a little tiny shelf in front of it. So you got to make sure you get it hard enough to keep it around the cup, but not go in the back right bunker. It's a devilish little hole. Once you get your tee position right and you work on your speed, it's not so bad. It's still one that requires your full concentration. All right, 16, I'm going to show you the 3 most common things that happen. One's too soft, one's too hard, and one hopefully just right. So if you're too soft, if you're trying to play a very finesse shot and trying to just barely get it in there, you try to get it up the slope, and you're just trying to get it up there, and that was just barely hard enough. That was actually a good shot. So let's try to slow it down just a little bit. Just a tiny little bit. Well, I'm not in the line perfectly, so that's not a very good example either. Those are perfect shots. You hit one a little too slow this time. So that's what happens. If you try to go a little bit too cute, you end up in the water over there. The putts from down here aren't too bad once you practice them enough. You just kind of aim outside the right and you go up the slope. And it's really not too bad. It looks intimidating, but once you get used to it, it's really not too bad. The other danger is, I'll show you the one more where you hit a little bit too fast. If you've come up short a couple times and you've gone in the water and you're thinking, well, maybe I need to hit this a little bit harder, and you give it a little bit more. It doesn't take much. It doesn't take much for that ball to start to throw and track and get all the way in that back right bunker, and it's very awkward putting from there because you don't have much of a backswing. Get your line, get your speed right on 16, and it's not too bad. All right, on to the final 2 holes here. Hole 17 is very makeable. You can start at pretty much anywhere on the tee, pick your line, get your speed right. As you come through on the left side of this fairway, the mound is going to repel the ball to the right. The closer you get to the rough on the right side, it's going to actually work it back to the left. So you want to find a little groove where you're getting the ball kind of started at the right bunker and then getting the ball to just barely miss the bunker, and the ball will track up the little tiny slope and the hole sits at a pretty flat area. Just don't lag it. There's not much trouble on this one, and you have a decent chance to make it. Lots of players like playing it from the right side just off the dot and aiming just inside the bunker on the right and just send it on its way. As the ball comes up there, so I pushed that one a little bit too far right, and that's what I was talking about. The closer you get to the rough, the more it influences it to the left. You can also play this on the left side of the tee, actually aiming more towards the rough or the right edge of the right bunker. Same concept. Just get the ball out there, get it up there. It'll run past the bunker, and that one can also line up as well. So just pick your line, get your speed right, and you can make hole 17. And now for the finishing hole, hole number 18. It's also makeable. Every single hole on this course is makeable with the right speed and the right line. This one, you can play anywhere on the tee. Just pick your line, pick your speed. The farther left you go, the more it pushes the ball to the right. As you get past the post here on the right side, this is where if you get to the right, it actually starts influencing ball back to the left. So get your line, get your speed right, and the hole sits just on top of a little hill. It's not too bad of a finishing hole to finish out your round here at Cosmic Golf. Now the field's kind of more skewed towards the right side of the tee mat here, and then basically aiming at where the rough and the bunker meet over on this side. The putt is going to break hard from left to right, and as it gets closer to the cup, it's actually going to straighten out and push back to the left. Just got to make sure you get your speed right on this one. Send it out there. It'll start to track back towards the cup. With just the right pace, it'll actually line up. That was a little bit too firm. There's also the other camp players that like to play from the left side and basically aim at the cup. Just get your eyes at the cup and just send it down there. The ball starts to track to the right, and then it'll work its way back to the left, and you can make it that way as well. The par putts from the back aren't too bad. I'll show those real quick. You're basically aiming left center inside the left lip and get it started, and you can finish out your round here at Cosmic Golf. Let's get it started. Not too bad. And this one over here is pretty straight. And that's it. So that's how I play Cosmic Golf. Everybody has their own style and different ways of doing it. Hopefully, if you show up for a tournament here, we have one coming next month on March 13th, 14th, and 15th. This will kind of give you a little bit of an idea on what you're in store for here. Everything about this course is all about the speed. I would also like to thank Mr. Putt Star, Brent Whirling, for helping me out with the camera here today. He's been a great help. We, as you know, part of my channel is full transparency. We tried a video and at the beginning, and well, it looked like the Blair Witch Project. So we did a retake here. But thanks again, Brent, for helping out. This is Cosmic Golf in Elizabethtown, Kentucky. Come check it out. It's definitely the best putting course that I have played outside of mini golf and putt-putt. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you at the tournament. Check out prominigolf.com for more information about the tournament or cosmic.golf. Thank you.